Welcome to the deep dive.
Okay, so today we're looking at something that's pretty much everywhere, right? But maybe you don't really notice it all that much. Plastic furniture. You might be thinking, plastic chairs, really? What's the big deal? Hefla. But actually, as we're going to explore, this seemingly simple area gives us some really cool insights. Insights into global economies, how shoppers are thinking, and, well, how we're setting up our spaces. Our goal here is to give you a clear, quick take on a market that's moving pretty fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it seems so straightforward, doesn't it? Maybe even a bit mundane. But when you actually dig into the numbers, the trends, well, it reveals this surprisingly dynamic industry. Definitely worth understanding beyond just, the surface level.
Okay, let's start there then. Why is this stuff so popular? What's the core appeal? I mean, think about it. It's super lightweight, right? Easy to just pick up and move. And it's usually way cheaper than getting wood or metal furniture.
Affordability is key.
Plus, it lasts forever outside, pretty much. Weather doesn't seem to bother it much. And cleaning.
Yeah.
A quick wipe down, and you're done. You've probably seen it loads recently, maybe on someone's patio or outside a cafe. Kids' rooms, too.
Exactly. And all those, practical points, they translate directly into steady growth. Growth across all sorts of different places. It's not just for your backyard anymore. We're seeing it pop up way more in offices, in hotels, restaurants, even in places like schools and hospitals.
So interesting. So institutional use, too.
Yeah. And it kind of taps into this bigger trend, this demand for materials that are, durable, but also increasingly recyclable.
Right, that makes sense. People are thinking more about that now. So, okay, let's get into the scale of it. Just how big is this market globally?
It's pretty substantial. Back in 2021, the global market generated almost $13.5 billion in sales. So $13,499.1 million to be precise.
$13.5 billion. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and looking ahead, it's projected to hit nearly $16 billion, $15,873.6 million by 2025.
And then it keeps climbing. Expected to reach almost $22 billion. That's $21,949.1 million by the year 2033.
So that's quite a jump. What kind of growth rate are we talking about?
It works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of just over 4%, about 4.134% per year consistently.
Okay, 4%. Steady growth for something we maybe don't think about much.
Definitely not standing still, yeah.
All right, so that's the big picture. Now let's zoom in a bit. Global growth is one thing, but I bet the story, like always, gets interesting when you look region by region, right?
Right.
Some places must be growing way faster than others.
Yeah.
Where are the real hotspots?
Well, let's maybe start with the big established markets first. North America, for example, it's a significant chunk of the market. It was worth around $5.4 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And that's projected to grow to over $8.4 billion by 2033. So a solid CAGR there of about 3.7%. And the U.S. is the dominant player, no surprise there. Made up over $4 billion for that in 2021, heading towards $6.4 billion. Canada and Mexico chip in significantly too, of course.
Right, so steady, mature growth in North America. What about Europe? Similar story.
Pretty similar, yeah. Mature, robust market. It brought in nearly $3.9 billion in 2021. And the forecast is for that to reach over $6 billion by 2033. The growth rate's very close to North America's, just under 3.8% annually.
Okay. Any specific countries standing out there?
Yeah, Germany and the UK are, the big players in terms of volume. But interestingly, France is showing particularly strong growth. Its national TGR is almost 5%. That's quite high for the region.
Huh. Nearly 5% in France. Interesting.
Yeah. Suggests maybe some specific local trends or demand there. And actually, the rest of Europe category, so countries outside the major ones, is growing even faster, over 5.2% CAGR.
Wow. So broader adoption across maybe smaller or Eastern European economies.
Seems likely, yeah. This suggests the appeal is pretty widespread.
Okay, so North America and Europe, solid, dependable demand. But now, this is where I think it gets really fascinating. You mentioned hotspots. Which regions are really, hitting the accelerator?
Right. This is where we look at Asia Pacific, APAC. That region is really the engine driving a lot of the global growth right now. It's expanding at a regional CAGR of over 5.3%. Really strong.
5%. Okay.
Yeah. Its market size is expected to almost double. Went from about $2.5 billion in 2021, projected to hit over $4.5 billion by 2033.
Huge jump. Who's leading the charge there? China.
China and Japan are definitely the leaders in terms of, sheer market size. But the really rapid growth story is India. India's EGR is incredible, nearly 6.5%.
6.5%. What's behind that, do you think?
Well, it points to a few things, right? A rapidly growing middle class, Massive urbanization, lots of new housing, new commercial spaces being built. And they need furniture that's affordable and durable. Plastic fits the bill.
Makes perfect sense.
And actually, the fastest growing country in the entire region, it's Singapore.
Singapore, really?
Yeah, nearly 7% CGR. Might seem surprising, but think about it. Dense city, lots of demand for compact, versatile, maybe outdoor-friendly furniture for balconies and cafes. Ah, okay. That context helps. So APAC is clearly booming. Anywhere else showing that kind of momentum?
South America is another one. Really strong growth there, too. The regional CAGR is over 5.1%, so also outpacing the global average significantly. It's expected to grow from around $945 million in 2021 to almost $1.7 billion by 2033.
And who's the big player there? Brazil?
Brazil, yeah, by far. Reflects its size and economic development.
Mm-hmm.
Argentina and Colombia are notable, too.
Okay. And what about the Middle East and Africa? How do they fit in?
A bit more mixed there. The Middle East is growing, but more slowly. The CAGR is under 3% overall. Of course, Saudi Arabia is the largest market. The UAE is actually growing a bit faster, closer to 4%.
Right.
Africa, though, is showing steady growth, pretty much bang on the global average, just over 4% CAGR. Expected to go from about $243 million to over $420 million by 2033.
And key countries there?
Nigeria and South Africa are the main ones mentioned. But again, the rest of Africa category shows the highest growth rate within the continent, over 4.5%. So similar pattern to Europe growth spreading beyond the largest economies.
Exactly. So if you step back and look at the whole map, North America and Europe are holding steady, solid demand, mature markets. But the real energy, the surge, is coming from Asia Pacific and South America. It's not just faster growth numbers, it really reflects, big shifts. Infrastructure booms, more people with money to spend, new kinds of living and working spaces being created.
That paints a really clear picture.
Yeah.
The established versus the emerging growth.
Yes.
So let's connect the dots for everyone listening. What does this all mean for you? Whether you're, maybe buying some patio chairs or fitting out an office or just watching how markets move.
Yeah.
It seems like it boils down to those core things we mentioned earlier, affordability, low maintenance, plus this backdrop of more people living in cities and this increasing push towards eco-friendly options, even in plastics.
Precisely. Those drivers aren't just about furniture. They show bigger shifts in how consumers are thinking and what industries are prioritizing. I mean, the fact that there's growing demand for recyclable and durable materials, even in a market sometimes seen as just cheap and mass-produced, that's telling.
Yeah, it shows a shift in consciousness, doesn't it?
It does, and it raises this really interesting question, how are material science and furniture design going to keep evolving to meet these demands, especially the sustainability angle?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how something like a simple plastic chair can, tell such a big story about global trade and how we live. So today we've unpacked the maybe surprising strength and growth of plastic furniture. We've looked at why it's so popular, those core advantages, and we've seen these really interesting regional shifts driving the expansion. Mature markets holding steady, emerging markets surging ahead. Hopefully next time you see some plastic furniture, maybe at a park, cafe, or even your own place, you'll see it a bit differently. You'll see the market forces behind it.
Definitely. And maybe just one final thought to leave you with. If affordability and durability are the big engines right now, how might all the ongoing innovation in plastics, especially in making them more sustainable, maybe even more stylish and aesthetic, how might that reshape our homes and businesses even more in the next 10 years or so? What new possibilities could open up? It's something to watch. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a world you probably interact with, every single day, but maybe rarely give a second thought. The global plastic furniture market. Now, before you picture just, a simple backyard chair, trust me, there's a surprisingly dynamic and complex story unfolding here.
Absolutely. It seems straightforward, but it really isn't.
So our mission today is basically to unpack this evolving landscape. We're going to explore its unexpected strengths, maybe confront its major challenges head on, and really dig into how the industry is adapting. You're going to find out why it's absolutely everywhere, yet still faces this sort of uphill battle for perception and, crucially, sustainability.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how its core advantages practically guaranteed its widespread adoption right from the start. Think about it.
Okay.
Plastic furniture is incredibly affordable and remarkably lightweight.
Right.
And this isn't just, saving a few bucks. It's low cost, really helped with rapid urbanization, furnishing places quickly and cheaply in growing economies.
I see.
And the resilience, it's kind of unmatched. It's moisture-resistant, termite-resistant, rust-resistant, perfect for outdoors, even in tough climates.
You like tropical places.
Or monsoon areas.
Exactly. Places where wood would rot or metal would rust. Plastic just holds up.
That's a really powerful point. I mean, its sheer ubiquity speaks volumes, doesn't it? You see it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Robust cafeteria, seating in schools, stylish patio sets in city apartments.
Mm.
But I'm curious, does its very everywhereness, its commonness, maybe contribute to that perception problem you mentioned?
Oh, for sure.
Does being so accessible sometimes work against its, like, perceived value?
That's a really astute observation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Despite all those practical plus points, this market absolutely grapples with the persistent perception issue.
Right.
Plastic furniture is often just dismissed, seen as lacking the aesthetic appeal or sophistication for, say, high-end homes or offices.
Even with new designs. Exactly. Even though brands are launching modern designer lines, that deeply ingrained image of the cheap plastic chair is just incredibly stubborn. It makes changing the image a real uphill battle.
And, well, speaking of challenges, there's the huge elephant in the room, right? The environmental concerns.
Definitely.
There's growing scrutiny over plastic pollution, especially non-biodegradable stuff and virgin polymers.
Yes.
And from what I've seen, environmentally conscious consumers and even big institutions like government agencies or schools, they're increasingly leaning towards alternatives, things like bamboo or maybe eco-friendly metal composites.
That's right.
So how is this demand for sustainability really shifting the industry's focus? I mean, it must be huge.
It is. It raises that critical question. How do you respond when your main material is basically under fire?
Yeah.
So companies are innovating. They're embracing recycled plastics, creating these eco-wear products that try to keep the benefits of plastic, the durability, the cost, but with a better footprint.
Okay, so like green collections.
Exactly. Retailers are launching entire green collections. They're focusing on circularity, on ESG compliance, environmental, social, and governance standards.
Right, ESG.
It's all about reshaping public opinion and winning over those institutional clients who now demand more sustainable options. It's basically a full rebrand effort, material to mission.
Huh. And it's not just what it's made from, but also how it's designed, isn't it? I remember moving into my first tiny apartment, and honestly, a foldable plastic table literally saved my sanity. Isn't that the kind of practical design innovation, like modular furniture, space-saving things?
Yes.
Collapsible tables, multifunctional units, that's really driving its popularity now.
Exactly. That's a
Yeah.
huge driver.
Yeah.
Compact living is big across Asia, Europe, North America. So these designs are incredibly popular. Think co-working spaces, small apartments where every inch counts.
Makes total sense.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, e-commerce is playing a massive role too.
How so?
Well, platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, IKEA, Pepperfry, they're massively expanding the market reach, especially to consumers in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
You mean those developing urban centers, not just the biggest cities?
Precisely. Places where access might have been limited before, and the rise of flat pack furniture, DIY assembly kits.
Oh, yeah, the IKEA effect.
Right. It adds to the appeal, lower shipping costs, more convenience. And you see major players like Ashley Furniture and even regional firms like Jaleme Hotel Furniture leveraging both technology and sustainability to stay competitive.
So, okay, we've taken quite a surprising journey here with plastic furniture. From its, unbeatable practicality and rapid spread across the globe, through its struggles with that image problem and serious environmental worries.
Yeah, the tricky parts.
And finally, to how it's dynamically adapting through actually some remarkable innovation and shifting design focus.
And that really leaves us with a thought-provoking question for you, the listener. Considering this global push for sustainability and our constantly evolving design needs, will plastic furniture truly shed its perception issues? Can it become a cornerstone of eco-conscious modern living? Or will it remain primarily that affordable, practical option that's always sort of battling its environmental shadow? It makes you think, doesn't it? How these material choices don't just furnish our spaces, but fundamentally impact our daily lives and the planet.